Port of Spain, the bustling capital of Trinidad and Tobago, has its fair share of sights and sounds. Limers and lovers find their way to the waterfront dusk as party boats prepare to sail on voyages of youthful pleasures. The nights are alive and vibrant when vendors ply their wares. The aroma of food streams through the air and park tables are abuzz with activities. Lighted skyscrapers stand above the downtown area, evidence of the wealth that has found its way through the country. As the light fades on the fringes of the hub, harsh truths begin to appear. Harsh truths that rear their heads in forms of expressionless faces that peer from the pavement's edges, the dark alleys or the forgotten parks. They are the bodies that lie in grotesque shapes on bare concrete and whose ragged physiques are silhouetted against distant light. They are the homeless, the beggars, the addicts, and while their stories of destitution vary, there is one narrative that is often told by those forsaken ones. A narrative that is being told in growing frequency. A narrative that says, abandoned as a child. Anthony Neaves has lived on the streets of the capital for over 30 years. It is where he has learned to survive. His resistance to the harsh realities of the streets has been built up from since age 16, when he found himself the subject of an adult argument.
So, my stepfather one day told my mother, Mother says, I cannot maintain an outside man in my house, an outside man child in my house. So you have to go. And at that age, 16, I came on my own. Things get hard. I don't know how to say it, but I end up sleeping out on the street. And then I bumped up a lot of beggars just like me, young, call them street kids. And I was young just like them at the age of 16, 17. And then it had younger ones. And from there, we all became friends. Then it had big old ones too. And from there, everywhere I go, I beg, pick up friends all along. And from that day on till now, I always around street kids.
He has seen many more situations similar to his, which continue to feed young, defenseless children to the streets. Their lives become wasted in destitution or crime. They are the young people that are seen at various places in the capital, either alone or in groups. They mix into crowded areas downtown where they search for sustenance. The factors that drive these young ones to a premature life of self-survival reveals various deep social problems that are ensuring this waste of human potential continues.
Well, first and foremost, under the Convention, UN Convention on Rights of the Child, right, and which Trinidad is a signatory to, and I believe we have amended certain laws to reflect a child's age being under 18, right? Some laws may differ, all right, but overall, I believe it's under 18.
Among the many faces of the Brian Lara Promenade is its amber-lit easternmost end. It is the gathering place of many, from the card players that engulf the concrete tables, to the loud-mouthed limers on the benches, or the unruly drug addicts high from the last fix. In amongst the hum of human conversation is a group of young men, homeless, and living off the streets. Their activities are well known to the promenade inhabitants.
Right about now, we have street gang that is involved in drugs in Port of Spain, selling weed all in the promenade right now. Police, they know police don't be around, so they come out in their numbers, and if they do see police, they ride out.
Say a young person will just leave an otherwise nurturing environment, good environment, to go and seek out gangs for excitement or power and this kind of thing. I don't really see that happening. What I see is a gradual progression.
So some of the factors that really cause them to, the children that is, to go to the streets. One main thing I know is love. They're not getting that love somewhere, and some of them, from listening to those in the school, especially when they get frustrated, when they are not being shown any love or care, they're not taken care of, they tend to just run away.
Children running away from home for a life on the street may be seen as delinquents. But the urge to leave the basic comforts of food and shelter shows desperation enough to be noticed.
Man was break at that when I did this, it was break now. I ended up taking out the cast and couldn't put it back on. So I ended up wrap it up with a bandana and just have it there. Like that's normal now. And I think my father think my hand get better. But still, and they are just sleeping. He can't wake him up. You know, come from work, he wake him up. I say, boy, go and wash out that way. I say, boy, that's not wash it. I know how to. Say, no, he won't just now. He won't do it now. Say, my sister, let she do it. He won't that. You want me wash it. I say, well, I ain't doing it right now, man. Pain, I can't wash nowhere. I can't hold no plate to wash nowhere. So I chip off and then. When your mother come home, I'll deal with you. And that when I get power. You won't nothing for me. I went to about 5 or 6 times. Last time I went down, I get this break on. My hand was already breaking from here. End up hit me up here. My mother can't know about that because you look the advantage in me. She let me come one thing, you know. Yeah, she let me come during the day, like, because you leave to go to work 4 o'clock in the morning. So she let me come early in the morning, just relax, take a sleep, eat and beat and just go after. want to really resting properly, my foot swollen.
I realize that, yeah. I mean, you're right on the road, boy.
Now, sometimes if I want to take a sleep, I just sleep out in promenade. I just really nothing, I just be out there.
Domestic violence has an impact on the family, all right? It disrupts family life, and anything that disrupts family life could in fact lead to a child being socially displaced.
Despite his struggles at home, Sheldon has no idea of street survival. To avoid a rough initiation, he has aligned himself to a street gang. This gang is known throughout the city to provide paid sex services, mainly homosexuals.
Because young people who leave care have to assume more responsibility for themselves than a peer, you find that they are more likely to, not necessarily, but there's a greater likelihood of them falling prey to parties out there who might be ill-intentioned. And sometimes the way they fall prey is sexually.
After that big man walking around, observe them moving around plentiful in the city, and we'll get to know them, and we'll tell them their name and so forth, ask them if they're hungry, and they will say, yeah, and they will buy things for them to eat and give them money. After that, they go in to make turn. And when it done go, they make their turn with the men. Men end up bullying them and pay them a little more money for making it turn with them. From that, those who do that end up bouncing up their other friends, right? And by bouncing up their other friends, they will lure them towards the men now who will pay that little money for bringing them boys to them.
He hasn't gotten involved in the sexual activities of the gang, but it is early days yet on the streets for him. There is no guarantee it will remain that way.
Well, remember, it's a commodification of sex. So sex becomes what you trade for the things that you need. So, yeah, well, it has nothing to do with relationship and love and that kind of thing. It has to do with exploitation.
They're under 16 years, but they could be found on the street, and the parents will say, well, they're helping me out. He ain't going to school again. He's at home with me and he's helping me out. What is happening? What happens to that child who is not going to school and existing like that? How do we define that child as a street child? They are found in the street during the day for long hours and helping the parents. How do we define that?
At age 14, Jay, not his real name, roams the street. He lives with his grandmother in a rented apartment. Due to the payments of rent monthly, her pension check is unable to make ends meet. This situation robs Jay of the basic amenities required by someone his age.
The child eventually walks away from the home because the home doesn't provide that safe haven for him. It doesn't provide him with that care, that mothering care, that I want something to eat, I can't get it. I'm unable to go to school. I can't provide, my peer, I can't learn with my friends. I do not have some of the basic necessity for me to provide or survive as a child. A child will walk out, will walk away from that environment so that he will be able to exist in it, or she exist in an environment that they feel is okay for them.
I guess it also goes straight back to the point of when they want something and they need something and they're not being, not outright given to it, but they're not even being facilitated to say, okay, well, we cannot afford this right now, but we can do this instead. And in their minds that I need something, mommy and daddy should be giving me something. And so they build that up within themselves. And they would find the other means to find.
He begs for money and food. His school attendance is dependent on the generosity of strangers. He is not able to make the money every day. This puts his education at risk. He says if his grandmother knows he is begging, he risks being put out of the apartment despite having nowhere to go. Jay adds one more item to his request list. Jay is pushed out to the streets to beg by his predicament. But it is not the only outcome of economic hardships in a home. Another chilling option awaits the children of high crime areas. They are sucked in by the environment.
But to say we have small street kids, yeah, we have small street kids holding gun in their hands, who begging for money to eat something, all in simple street, all behind the bridge. We have street kids who run away from their parents' home to be a gang member. We have all of that. And they have gone in the ways, all 9, 10, 11, they stop going to school and they end up holding gun, guarding the boss, while the boss making love with the wife and eating ham and jam. These little street boys who living on the streets, even in 11th, is hungry and have gun in their waist to safeguard the big man who is the head of the gang.
Being pushed onto the streets, it could cause them to get involved in I guess, criminal elements, because they have to fend for themselves, and basically they don't have the skills in order to fend for themselves. They're children, they're not of the age to work, they don't have the skills required to work and that kind of thing. So more than likely they will get involved in illicit activities in order to meet their needs and to take care of themselves. In meeting these criminal elements or getting involved in illicit activities, it may involve some violence. So therefore, some of the violence and criminal activities could just be a cause of them being on the streets.
The high levels of poverty and unemployment in areas such as East Port of Spain fuel this situation further. Some parents ignore the criminal activities of their children, as it provides a somewhat steady flow of income that would have been otherwise unavailable.
And hear this, when they get paid, they say, "Mommy, hear this, hold on to that." She say, "What is that?" I say, Mommy, they might get about, they will say $20,000 or so. They will get you about 15 and hold on to 5,000 for themselves. And Mommy glad. Sometimes these same gun boys go and put on work to make extra money, because the money they get in is nothing. When they rob people or when they rob business place, when they rob banks or whatever, the spoils of their robberies, they give to their mothers. The mothers say, "Thank you."
And they encourage you.
"Thank you." But when they get the money, "Son, where you get that?" "Mommy, don't study it. Don't ask me no question. I went and do a work."
The absence of children in the home provides some parents with a window to engage in nefarious activities that they prefer not for their children to see.
The other type of parents do not make the report to the police because the child brings in an income, or it provides an avenue for that parent to be free. Because when the child is not at home, then the parent could exist in the drug behavior, they could exist in the frequent male or female companion coming, the child is not in their way anymore. They can do all the different things because I don't know where he is, and I don't know where she is.
These situations ensure a reliable supply of recruits for gangs and their leaders. These young ones are the perfect cover for the transportation of illegal items that fuel gang economies.
That children are used by the crime people to put their guns in their bags because a police officer would not on the surface stop a school child or a little child and search.
As it does for law enforcement, the crime situation is presenting burgeoning responsibilities to the bodies charged with the protection of children. Abandoned children who are made wards of the state are put into homes for residential care. Just as these homes are part of the solution, they may also be unexpected contributors to the problem.
However, the system of acquiring skilled people to work at the homes operates is there's a more of a systemic breakdown. Because there's a lot of red tape, at least that I've realized, involved through the hiring of staff, which is done through government, and then the home themselves, because a lot of these homes are attached to some other NGO organization, religious or whatever the case is. So there is that battle between the two, and you find that the children unfortunately suffer because the system isn't working, and sometimes the people that are hired are not skilled either to interact with each other and really deal with some of the needs that they have, because they're coming in with all of this hurts and all of this pain.
They already formed themselves, they're already making money, but they realize the money ain't good enough. So they will spend into street children and create this big organization saying they're helping out street kids just for the love of money. Always calling for donations for these street children. I was there once when I saw the people in Credo Center taking out the best things from the donation and even the rotten things for the kids, while the best thing going to the staff of the home and the officials of the home organization. This mother, whoever she is, a nun who in charge of the home, right? She would collect the money and put it in separate accounts. They would buy motor car for themselves to drive around. They would replenish their house with the good donations they get, living out of these same street kids. So they are not doing nothing in general to help street kids, but themselves. And that is the main common fact.
Homes in Trinidad and Tobago operate under the age-old legislation that considers 16 years old and above as adulthood. It is at this stage young people are required to exit the homes.
Usually when the court order comes and they said you have to keep the child, it's normally till 16, because apparently the law is a little bit messed up, and according to the I guess whatever law that binds children's homes, they're only supposed to keep them till 16 years old.
The situation of the children, young people and adults eking out a living on the streets show collective failure on the part of social institutions. The family institution, where a child by all rights should find comfort and protection, is breaking down in many households. Parents, because of selfish motives, many times forget the needs of the young ones. Sheldon's father and his failure to deal with anger issues have cost his son the right to proper shelter, food, and clothing. Questions have to be asked. What about those that knew about the abuse of the young man? Did anyone take it upon themselves to alert the relevant authorities? Did authorities respond? There are families that are experiencing financial difficulties where the needs of the kids are seen as secondary to getting by. It is only instinct for human beings to do what they think necessary for sustenance. Jay is no different. He is a product of poor or even non-existent family structure. When a parent enjoys the benefits from their children's criminal involvement, where does the maternal or paternal care come from? Who is going to risk the barrel of a gun to report them to the authorities? The gang culture provides a sense of belonging to these young ones even when closest family can't provide it. Because of prohibitions by the law, they remain silent and faceless to the population. Survival will drive their every move, and it is where a beggar, a vagrant, sex worker, or gangbanger can be born.